Hi everyone, it's James here. Welcome to another vinyl update. This is the first vinyl update I've done for many months. When the second lockdown happened, I was still buying things online though. Not quite sure what's happened in terms of the vinyl updates. Don't quite know why I've not wanted to make one, but I thought I would today. I've got a pile of things here that I haven't shown before, including some gifts that I've had from some various kind people. We'll start with one of those. This is a record that I've seen around the place and never picked up, and my good friend John Bellamy here on YouTube and the vinyl community was kind enough to send me a copy of Beauty Stab by ABC, the great British 80s pop band fronted by Martin Fry. Now this record, I think it came out in something like 83, and it was the follow-up to their monster hit album Lexicon of Love, which had been produced by Trevor Horn, obviously, and is still regarded as a trailblazing, 1980s pop record. Had all sorts of whiz-bang production, the Fairlight synthesizer, incredible record, amazing lyrics, just a true milestone in pop music. This album came out and suffered in comparison. The critics didn't like it. It wasn't produced by Trevor Horn. I'm not sure who did produce this record, but it's got a much less overtly synth pop kind of sound, but it's still pretty 80s. It reminds me of a whole plethora of different influences. I can hear shades of different groups, Simple Minds, The Cure, just all kinds of things. It's got a melancholy, lovely 80s pop kind of vibe. There are still some synth touches. I can still hear a bit of Fairlight coming through here and there. Really, really good album. John had long told me about this record. He's often kind of mentioned it as being something which he thinks is really great, but which the critics were not too keen on. So it was nice to hear it finally, and it's really grown on me. So thanks, John. Thanks very much for that. That will be treasured in the collection for many years to come. And John was kind enough to send me a note, which I will quickly show there. So yeah, great stuff. ABC, Martin Fry, what a genius. Okay, another gift. Now this came from a guy called Peter, who does not make videos, and I haven't heard from him for a while, so I hope you're okay, Peter. Just wanted to thank you for this. Peter had shown me a Niels Lofgren record, which I picked up from somewhere a while back, and he was kind enough to send me a live album. So this is Night After Night by Niels Lofgren, and a very fine record it is too. It's got some songs on it which I knew from the one record that I'd actually bought. He's an artist that I kind of have not steered away from him. Obviously he's from the E Street Band, and I've heard a lot about him over the years, and like I said, I picked up a record a while back, really enjoyed it, and so it was nice to hear him in a live setting. There's the gatefold. Yeah, it's got Cry Tough on it, and It's Not a Crime, which is one of the songs I really loved from the record of his that I picked up. Can't remember which one it was now. I think it might have been his debut album I found. Here's Lofgren from Peter. Night After Night. Thanks, Peter. Much appreciated. Okay, we will finish with a couple more items of VCLT at the end, but for now we're going to get into some records that I have bought myself. Now this one, I've been listening lately to quite a lot of Los Lobos. I've got a couple of their records on vinyl, got another one on CD, been really enjoying them, and I thought to myself, I need some more of this band in my collection. So I went on to, I think it was Discogs or eBay, and had a look to see what was available at a decent price, and I came upon this. This is The Neighbourhood, which was their fifth album from 1990. I think it was the first album they made after they'd had the massive mainstream success with their version of La Bamba, and they were not quite sure which direction to head in, and they went in a bluesier direction. And this record is amazing. It's fantastic. It's got Levin Helm on it. It's got John Hyatt on it. It's got the drummer Jim Keltner, and it is bluesier, but it's not blues rock. It's definitely got that classic kind of extremely eclectic sound that Los Lobos have. One thing that jumped out at me, this is the album that contains the song Angel Dance, which was covered by Robert Plant on one of the Band of Joy records. As soon as it came on, I thought, I know this song from somewhere. Where have I heard this before? And I realised I know it from the Robert Plant version, so that was nice to hear. But yeah, a tremendous record. Really, really great. Like I said, I've been enjoying their music for the last few weeks anyway, and getting this one now has really made me want to check out the rest of the catalogue. Very nice, great London label. And yeah, just tremendous. Loved it. Los Lobos, a group that I've been kind of slow to get into. Like I said, I've had a few of their records in my collection for many years, but they kind of sit on the shelf. And when I pull them out, it's always just like, well, hey, fantastic, you know, crack open the beers. Fantastic band. Okay, so I've got a couple of reissues for you now. Let's just change these around. So this first one, this is a record that I've long wanted to have on vinyl, had it on CD for many years. This was an artist I discovered via the John Peel show, and it would have been, I think, in the early noughties, and it is Laura Cantrell. And this is her album, Not the Trembling Kind, which I think was maybe her second album, could be mistaken. And Laura Cantrell is from Nashville, although I think she studied in New York, and she's made about 5 albums, I think. I was just reading up about her. She's now, I think she works in asset management now or something. She's gone into a kind of corporate career, so clearly the music didn't quite work out for her, perhaps, you know, commercially, but she made some really, really nice records, and this album was one of the ones that John Peel said, I think he said it was one of the greatest albums that he'd ever played on his show, or, you know, one of the most favourite albums that he'd had. Sent to him, he loved it. I loved it when I first heard it. It's just very, very, very melodic, sweet-toned, beautiful, country-tinged pop music. There's about 6 songs written by Laura, and there's a few covers as well. So nice to get this. This is on Shoeshine Records, and it just sounds beautiful. Sounds absolutely gorgeous. So yeah, I was really chuffed to finally get hold of this, and it was a good price too. You know, it wasn't anything extortionate. So there you go. Label on the other side. So yeah, Laura Cantrell. Let's hope one day she comes out of doing asset management or whatever it was and gets back into making music again, because a very talented lady with a really, really great voice. This next one, another reissue, and again, it's one I've kind of been dancing around for a while, and I finally pulled the trigger on it, to use a great old VC cliche, and it is this. I almost said 10cc then. Thin Lizzy, Vagabonds of the Western World, which was one of the early albums. I think it was maybe their 3rd album, I guess. And this predates the era of the twin guitar Thin Lizzy, so Eric Bell was still in the group. Let's see if we can find a picture of him. There he is. And they were still trying to find their sound. They hadn't, like I said, they hadn't discovered the twin guitar sound yet, because they hadn't got 2 guitars basically. So it's a different Thin Lizzy, but it's still a great Thin Lizzy. The playing is already fantastic, very bluesy, very rocky, very kind of attitudey, but lashings of Irish lyricism already intruding into the music, and yeah, it's one that I've long given up hope of ever finding an original copy of. So it was nice to get a reissue of that, and again, it sounds wonderful. It sounds brilliant. Decca. So yeah, there we go. A bit of Lizzy. Can't be beat. Okay, let's twizzle these around. I'll do one more reissue, and then we'll get into a bit of second-hand vinyl to finish with. This is a record, I can't even remember now how I came across this. It might have been just a thing where you're kind of just on YouTube listening to things, or it might have been a VC video, I can't remember, but it's the first record I've ever picked up from this label, Mr. Bongo, who I hear a lot about. I know John Downing, 6-inch Pianist 319, shows a lot of records from that label. I've been to their website a few times and had a look for things, but this is the first time I've ever picked something up. This is in the shrink actually, because I've not had it for very long. I need to tear it off and get something decent on this. But this is Antonio Carlos and Jocafi, and the album Mudai de Idea, which came out, I think it came out in the early 1970s, and they were a duo, just a Brazilian pop duo. And this record again is dazzlingly great. It really is. I put it on in the evening, you know, put some headphones on. I often will drift off to music in the evening if I sort of dim the lights, put headphones on. I'll often fall asleep, but there was no way I was going to fall asleep to this. It's great. It's kind of upbeat, crackling, loads of grooves, a little bit psychedelic in places, lots of hooks, tons of Brazilian charm to it. Just very, very upbeat and sunny. Great record. And it's just on Orange RCA. So yeah, it has kind of inspired me to go and check out more of Mr. Bongo's releases. Yes, that might be a bottomless pit that I may never emerge from, so we'll have to see. Okay, so we're going to get into just a few cheap and cheerfuls now to finish with. Now this next one has got a truly horrible cover. And for that reason, I'm going to briefly show the front and back cover, but then I'm going to go and just get the inside sleeve out and show you that, because the inside sleeve would have made a much nicer cover than the images that were chosen for the front and the back. So here we go. This is Al Kooper. Very, very quick shot on the back. So it's her body on his head and his head on her body. It's a kind of horrible switch thing that they've done there. It's just a truly horrendous cover idea. The album's called Act Like Nothing's Wrong, and the picture on the inner sleeve, like I said, is just much nicer. Why on earth he couldn't have had that as the cover, I do not know. But I've never bought an Al Kooper record before, and they don't turn up in the wild very often, and I actually sought this one out. I got it from eBay, and the reason I got it is that it contains a song called Please Not One More Time, which I love. I heard it, I bought a David Crosby solo record a few months back, and it had a version of that song on it, and I really liked it. I went and checked out Al Kooper's original version of it because it was his song, and his version is fantastic. It's got a kind of Californian Beach Boys kind of sound, brilliant hooks, brilliant performance, fantastic arrangement. I just loved it. So I sought out the album, and here it is. I won't show the cover again, I'll show that again. So Al Kooper, obviously, he was a kind of sideman. You know, he worked with Dylan, and he had this incredible long career. He was in Blood, Sweat and Tears. He's never really had the profile of other contemporary musicians. You know, he became a lot more famous than him, but he's had an amazing career. And this is just a really nice album. Came out in, I'm not sure when it was, 1976. And it's just a mixture of pop, rock, soul, and that's it really. He thanks a variety of musicians at the top. The Beach Boys, the Beatles, Julian Adderley, Booker T. Jones, Albert King, Willie Mitchell. There's at least one track on here which does sound like a kind of High Records type sound, you know, Al Green, Steely Dan, Stevie Wonder. So that gives you a feel for the kind of record it is. It's got a very classy 1970s pop, soul kind of sound, with maybe some touches of jazz here and there, but a great record, and one that was certainly deserving a much better cover idea. Okay, and then we have got this one. This is an album, again this goes back to John Bellamy now, not a gift from him, but a record that he recommended to me a while ago, and I bought it on CD. I enjoyed it, but I didn't get particularly into it. Not because I didn't like it, I just didn't get around to exploring it quite enough. So when I saw a vinyl version pop up, I thought maybe if I bought a vinyl version of it, it would encourage me to explore it a bit more. This is David Sylvian and his album Brilliant Trees. Now I kind of missed out on Japan back when I was growing up. They were not a group that were on my radar, but just recently, well, about 18 months ago, I acquired most of their albums from a friend of mine who was having a clear out. And I've been listening to them, and I've been really enjoying them. Interesting group. David Sylvian obviously transcended the kind of chart pop, glam kind of thing that he was known for, and went on to do some quite artful, even what you might call kind of highbrow type records, you know, with various composers. Not quite sure when this fits into his discography. 1984 on Virgin, but it's a very, very interesting record. He's got this wonderful way of creating pop songs using harmonic structures which don't seem to make sense. He just finds chords and chord sequences that they sound like they don't really belong together, but somehow he makes them, he kind of weaves them together, and then he writes these melodies over the top, which are, on first listen, they're almost random, but they do kind of get under your skin. Really clever way of working. I don't know much about him. I don't quite understand what his method of composition is, but he's certainly, I'd say, quite an original songwriter, and this is quite an artful left field 80s pop record, which I really enjoyed. So thank you, John, for the recommendation. Like I said, I've still got the CD. I will still be checking that out, but now I've got the vinyl version. Hopefully I will bond with this record more than I did originally. So, yep, that's David Sylvian and Brilliant Trees. And finally, two lovely records from my good friend Sean Whelan, Aka SW Studio Productions, here on YouTube. Sent me a couple of Quo records, and you can never have too many of those, can you? So he sent me this one. This is Back to Back, and this one has got Margarita Time on it. So that was a nice thing to get into the collection. What year was this? This is 1980 something, 83. And this one, I've shown them out of order. I'm guessing this one came from 1982. And it is the album 1982. And again, just another enjoyable early 80s Quo record. I do need to do a Quo collection video at some point, but we'll see when I get to that. I do have a habit of saying I'm going to make videos and then just don't make them for years and years, but might make it my Christmas video this year, we'll have to see. Anyway, Quo from 82 and 83 from Sean. Check him out, great guy on the VC. Always makes enjoyable videos and got a good taste in records. Okay, so thanks for watching, and I hope everybody's doing well, and leave some comments, and I'll see you soon. Take care. Bye-bye.